This is Bumper to Bumper, the car show. Drive in anxious and cruise out confident. With the best automotive information for your vehicle. And now your hosts, Matt Allen and Dave Riccio.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Bumper Radio. My name is Matt Allen, here along with Dave Riccio, and together we are your KTAR car guys every single Saturday at 11 o'clock. The purpose of Bumper to Bumper Radio is to help you, educate you about your car, help you understand what is happening when the car is getting fixed, take away the anxiety, help you understand how to talk and how to communicate to the service advisor or service technician or whoever that may be, the funny noises or whatever. Or, you know, maybe you got a big list of repairs you need to do, or someone you told you need a service, or maybe there's a service that you need but they can't do for some reason. But what I want to talk about today is some of the old folklore and wives' tales and myths about taking care of your car. Because what happened in 1978 and 1985 and even 1995 is not the same today. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. But one of the best ways for us to help you is if you call in and we can answer some questions for you. So to get involved with the show, 602-277-5827. It's 602-277-KTAR, and you can also text us at 411923. We might text you back. You might hear the keyboard going in the background, or we might just bring up your text on air and answer it right there. But, you know, Dave, back in the day, you could say, oh, you get some of these used car guys. They're great at the tricks. You know, they've got a little bit of an oil leak, so they put some brake fluid in the engine oil because it makes the seal swell up, or you know, what was the transmission when you could put some sawdust?
No, the differential. You put sawdust in
the differential. So, I mean, that's not necessarily folklore. That's like cheating kind of stuff. But, you know, there's all those myths. I can think of, you know, maybe the old, you know, the guy going around and, you know, you take a little dabble of this and you know, you're going to live 10 years longer, or you'll never get a cavity or something. But in the automotive industry, there's some folklore and there's some myths out there. And you're being misled. And I'm not saying misled in a bad way to take advantage of you, but you're being misled because maybe people don't just know any better. And I hear it all the time in my shop, and I know you hear it, Dave, is the myth of the year is, at least my myth of the year is, my transmission is sealed. I can't service it. Tell me what a sealed transmission is, Dave. I have an idea of what a sealed transmission is. What is a sealed transmission?
Well, I literally had this conversation with somebody on Thursday. I called them up, and they had just bought this Mini Cooper, and they wanted us to check it out. And the guy, I said, well, you know, everything checks out good, but the fluid is varnished in the transmission, so I would recommend we service it. He goes, oh, no, that's a sealed transmission. And I said, oh, no. I said, I've been in this business a long time, and I still have not seen a sealed transmission. I mean, the very fact that I could look at the fluid in the first place means it's not sealed. You know, how do I tell that it's varnished? But it's like a unicorn. I still have not seen one. I keep looking.
Well, we joked facetiously before the show, and I said, no, Dave, you're wrong. Every transmission is sealed because when they have a dipstick, it's got a nice little ring on the top, so when you click that dipstick back in, it creates a seal so dirt and junk and garbage don't get in the transmission. So, of course, they're all sealed to some extent, but it doesn't mean they're locked down and they're like in, you know, solitary confinement. That fluid's all by itself. You can get to it, and I think the reason that people say sealed, and I think it comes from a lot of the lube shops, oh, it's a sealed transmission. You don't do it. You know, you don't need to do anything with it. And really, what that translates to is we're not qualified to do it. We don't have the right tools, or whatever, or it's not easy to do a flush on because you actually have to know what you're doing.
So we're going to recommend something to you that we can do.
Yeah, and we're going to tell you can't do it because if I recommend you to a place that can, then maybe you're not going to come back to us for the easy stuff. That's all we know how to do, maybe. So how do we service, Dave, and how often? We can debate that because I think you and I might have a difference of opinion.
Yeah, we do, but I also think where part of the myth comes from, because you pop the hood on a modern car. Most of them, you don't even find a dipstick. In the old days, you saw a dipstick that said transmission, and you saw a dipstick that said engine, and now you open it up, and there is no dipstick. Not that you see, but some of them, there's literally a little dipstick down on the side of the transmission, or they're checked a different way with a standpipe up in the transmission pan, that type of thing.
Well, and remember, like some of the when Chrysler and Mercedes were together, they still had a dipstick tube, but they didn't come with a dipstick. So we had to buy a dipstick that was marked in different links so that we could check the transmission fluid. And I think really part of that deal is they want to keep people out of them.
Yeah, they don't want, you saw the warranties go up in the old days. I mean, old cars probably had a, 1-year warranty. I don't know.
Yeah.
3-year, 50,000 was, common for a while. But some of these things have, transmission warranties of 100,000 miles. Well, the last thing they want the consumer doing is tampering with the transmission because they got to guarantee it. So, let's just take it out of his hand so that it can only be checked by a professional. So I think some of that kind of works into the story. I mean, literally, these cars that check the fluid in them, you got to, you almost have to have a degree. You got to go up underneath the car. You got to plug into it with a scanner. You got to do that kind of thing. Well,
and there's a chart. I know, like on my Toyota pickup, there's no dipstick, but you say like a standpipe. So in the bottom of the drain pan, I'm just going to exaggerate. There's a 2-inch pipe sticking up. And that's the fluid. If it's higher than that, it's going to drain out. So that would be overfilled, right?
Correct.
But what temperature? Because remember, transmission fluid is oil.
Contracts.
It expands and contracts. So you have to check the fluid at exactly 114 degrees. So if you check it too cold and put in too much fluid and it expands, now it's overfull and you're blowing out seals and all kinds of stuff. So,
well, it's funny. We easily service 15 of the so-called sealed transmissions at our shop every week.
Right.
It's something we do on a regular basis. But because it is a process, we literally have the people drop them off in the morning, and then we get it back to them that afternoon. Just because we drive it before we service it, then we service it. Then we, fill it back up, but then we got to check the fluid. We got to set the car aside, let it cool for a little while, pull it back in, check the fluid. So there's some steps that go into it, and so we want to do it right. So some of these people do get their transmission serviced in one of the quickie places. Some of them do them, and I'm like, how could they even be doing it right?
Yeah, they can't. I mean, what we're doing. We're gonna, when we do them on the ones you drain, we measure. We have a clean jug. We measure exactly what we took out, so then we can put in close. I want to be a little bit over maybe, so it will drain out when it gets to the standpipe at the right temperature. But just because I take out 3 quarts when it was hot, if I go pour 3 quarts off the shelf and put it in, I don't know how much, we need a scientist now to tell us how much contraction and expansion there is and 100 degrees of transmission temperature. But 3 quarts isn't 3 quarts at 100. There are 2 different levels at different temperatures. So it's different. And not to mention, how many different transmission fluids do we have in stock?
Oh, I stock 32 flavors of transmission fluid, and I've been saying that for years, and it's probably up to 40 by now.
Yeah.
But, before, my early days, I started in the general repair business. So that means I fixed everything on the car except the transmission. Now I'm in the transmission business, and we do general repair as well. But, I gave people, before I knew better, I gave people bad advice about transmissions every day because I didn't know what I didn't know. So I'd give them advice about servicing them, how to take care of them, and all that stuff. And now knowing what I do know is back then I was giving out bad information. So what there is there's a whole lot of bad information as related to transmissions because, quite honestly, most mechanics have never really seen the inside of a transmission.
Right.
But yet they're still giving you advice on it.
But let's back up a little bit. You talked in the beginning. You said, they've got a warranty, this transmission. Some of them have a 100,000-mile warranty. And I think, most of them really don't have a 100,000-mile warranty, but they say it's a 100,000-mile life or it's a lifetime fluid. That is also a myth. And that's a myth from the manufacturer.
Oh, yeah. BMW is classic for sharing that myth.
Yeah, and what's funny, now your BMW nowadays, I'm going to rephrase that. Your Ford truck nowadays has the same transmission that the BMW has, a
Correct.
ZF transmission. We have a technical service bulletin from ZF. They're the ones that made that transmission for Ford, for Chevy, for BMW, for Audi. I've got the technical service bulletin from them that says it was messed up in translation. It is not lifetime fluid. It should be changed at 62,000 miles. Even though on the bottom of the transmission,
it says right there.
It says right there. Don't ever touch it. Don't check me. Don't look at me, because I'll never get sick, but I'm going to die at 100,000, right? I mean, you're just seeing cars, transmissions fail before they're even due for their first service.
Yes. So, well, the thing of it is, in most of the failures we see are actually in the valve body. The valve body is a hydraulic brain of the transmission, and it wears out because the valves are very busy in the modern transmission, and it's a matter of, as the fluid gets old, it gets particulates in it, and it's almost like a lapping compound to wear out that valve body. And so, service is a great idea, and, it's when do I really need service, and when am I being sold a bill of goods? What should I do? Well, we take them apart all the time, so we knows what fails, and it's generally in the valves.
And we're talking about valve. The valve is what allows fluid to flow, and that pressure in the transmission is a couple hundred pounds of pressure, and even more at times. So these valves have to seal. So basically what that happens, just take it like this. It's water with sand in it. Think of it like that. And as that sand runs down the river over time, it's cutting into the rocks, and it's doing all that stuff. And that valve, Dave, it's not bigger than the tip of this pencil I'm holding, is it? The tip of the eraser?
more like a marker.
Okay.
Tip of a marker.
So that's how small of an area we're talking about for a seat and a valve. And you got a little bit of that fluid in there. It's kind of like sandpaper. And all of a sudden that valve can't seal anymore. So the fluid's wearing out and causing failures before it should ever even be serviced. But remember, back to the main thing. It's a myth. Your transmission is maybe sealed, but that doesn't mean it doesn't need to be serviced, or can't be serviced, or shouldn't be serviced.
So when we come back, we've got Claude and George, and maybe it looks like John coming through, and some more open lines at 602-277-5827, 602-277-KTAR. Whether you got questions about your transmission and transmission service or anything related to your vehicle, we can help you out. You listen to Matt and Dave, your KTAR Car Guys on Bumper to Bumper Radio. Matt and I share car repair tips weekly to help you keep your car safely on the road, and a few of them are easy to do.
Yep, you're right, Dave. And one of the easiest is to have a dependable battery that you can trust to get you started no matter what the conditions.
Interstate batteries are what we trust at Bumper to Bumper Radio. In fact, they're what we use at our own shops for our customers.
If you're like most people, your car is one of your most valuable investments. Make sure you take care of that investment with the power necessary to get you where you need to be. Interstate batteries are America's #1 replacement brand with the factory fresh guarantee, and they're easy to find at good shops everywhere.
Cars or trucks, Interstate has you covered with long life and performance in our harsh desert climates with products like Megatron Plus that carries a 30-month free replacement and a 6-year performance guarantee.
Interstate batteries. No battery lasts longer. Check them out at interstatebatteries.com.
Having an accident is stressful. Dealing with the repair process shouldn't be. Hi, Leo Petrozella for Campus Body Salon. The right to choose a repair facility is yours, not the insurance company's. We work with all insurance companies, but we work for you. Campus Body Salon, Bumper to Bumper Radio approved and independently family owned and operated since 1973. Check out our Cash for Your Crash program where we pay you 10% off of your repair up to $1,000. Campus Body Salon, the best care in collision repair.
Gas or diesel, foreign or domestic. If your car hurts, take it to Kurtz.
That's our closing line, Pops.
I know, Jeff. Just reinforcing that we're full-service auto repair.
At Kurtz Auto Repair, we do it all, including diesel. We have the passion, training, equipment, and expertise for diesel. Our techs are ASE certified for diesel and advanced diesel diagnostics. Toy hauling, horse trailering, off-roading, or work trucking, we've got you covered.
Gas or diesel, foreign or domestic. If your car hurts, take it to Kurtz. Check us out at mycarhurts.com.
Well, welcome back.
Hey, you know who's back? Carrie's back. Carrie's back. We got some tunes. We better shut this one down, though. We might get in trouble if we keep playing.
Welcome back to Bumper Radio. I am Dave Riccio here along with Matt Allen, and back with us this week is Carrie. he was a little surprised we made it through last week's show, and I was too, you know.
Well, it's just he's like, how was the show last week? I said it was great, but the music sucked because you weren't here to give us some good intro music and ideas. You know, Dave and I got other stuff we need to worry about. And Carrie has it dialed in as usual.
So good to have you back, Carrie. I forgot where you said you were.
Can we turn my mic off or something?
Yeah, absolutely.
There you go. I was talking about the future of sports and radio for my other jobs. So, last week we had a sales conference for Skyview.
And that's more important than car talk, huh?
Apparently it is.
At that particular time on 11 o'clock last Saturday it was.
With what you guys pay me, yes, it was.
Yeah.
We still have a good second song coming. So.
Very good, very good.
All right. Well, looks like we got Claude in surprise. He's got a 1997 Oldsmobile Cutlass. How can we help you, Claude? You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Good morning, gentlemen. I've had a car with the family since the day I was 0 5. Compressor 8 years ago. Now I've got a problem. I had a check out
Claude, we're going to put you on hold. Your phone's really breaking up. We can't hear you. You got to get to a good spot. We'll get back to you in a minute. Find a good signal. Pull over. We'll grab you in a minute, and when we can hear you better. So go find a good spot. We'll get right back with you. Dave, what do you want to grab next? And we'll let Claude find a good spot with a good signal so we can talk to him.
Let's go with George in Phoenix. He's got a 2005 Honda Civic. How can we help you, George? You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Yeah, this is about 130,000 miles on it, and I like it. But like me, age is a problem for the car, and you got these squeaks and other things that develop that I kind of ignore because I figured the age of the car is such that it just goes with the territory. But I was visualizing if there was a place in town that I could go where they could put it up on a hoist and have a huge spray of WD-40 for the whole underside of that car. It would be a marvelous thing to take, and then maybe after you're finished with the car, spray me.
Yes, absolutely, George. The nice thing about older cars, if you're older, is you hear less, you know?
Yeah, your hearing's going away, too.
No, my hearing, well, it's not a problem, but I hear very well. That's part of the equation.
That's unfortunate in this case. But, hey, you know what? I don't know how old you are, George, but that 2005 Honda Civic, 13-year-old, that's an infant.
Yeah, it's not that old.
130,000 miles, no big deal on that car. So, you know, those creaks and rattles and stuff, sometimes they're difficult to fix. Sometimes they're not too bad though, Dave. I mean, sometimes it's just a couple bushings.
Yeah, I couldn't think of anything on an 05 Civic. You know, strut mounts start to get kind of noisy.
Sway bar
bushings,
control arm bushings. Really, the thing to do, George, is take that into a shop and tell them you have those concerns and say it's got 130,000 miles. I bought it new. Here, take this pile of receipts. There's my records. I'm going to pay you $60. Just give me the look over. Just tell me what you see with the car, everything. I think it's a bad idea to WD-40. You know, first off, WD-40 is petroleum. When you start putting it on rubber components, it will deteriorate them to some degree. But then, I mean, one time my boss chewed me out when I first started many years ago. I said, well, I'm just going to spray the bushings. He's like, you sprayed every single one of them. How are we going to know which one it was? You got to do it one at a time. You know what I mean? So I think it's worth having it inspected and look at it and then find out if there's a simple fix that will make those noises go away. Sometimes it's a matter of a couple $100 on bushings and you can save your sanity. Maybe it's, you know, it might be several $100. But that's a good car. There's no reason to be ditching a Honda that's only got 130,000 miles on it.
You know, and for anybody listening, when you're talking about noises, if there's a noise in your car that you think shouldn't be there, when you take it into the shop, you're going to want to go for a drive with the technician who's going to be working at it or somebody who can convey the noise to the technician. Because the noise that we hear and the noise that you hear may be two different noises, you know, and we fix noises in cars where I drive the car and I'm like, wow, how do they live with that noise? And I'll recommend it to them and fix it to them, and that's not the noise they were talking about. I just thought that noise was common among Oldsmobiles.
Yeah, I had one, the way that we may not have done a very good job of interrogating her, interviewing her for her noise this week. But, it had this noise in the morning. It was described a little strange. She had a hard time articulating. We found a bunch of junk in the glove box rattling around. We took that out, and one noise went away. At some point, she must have had a flat tire, and someone didn't put the spare tire in the jack away. That was rattling, so we got that all tied down. And then she comes back, and we test drive with her. She goes, "Oh, I don't hear it anymore." Perfect. She drives it home. Well, the next day, she's like, "The noise is back." Well, it was happening only cold. So even had we gone on the test drive with her, we may or may not have heard it. But it's easy to fix the wrong noise because people hear things at different tones and different sensitive to different things. I mean, you're right. A test drive oftentimes.
For sure. Well, I've got a customer that comes sees me, and he just bought a new car to him. It's a new used. It's not that old. It's got 40,000 miles on it, and he took it back. It's a Lincoln MKZ. He took it back to the dealership complaining about a vibration, and so they put motor mounts in it. Right, 40,000 miles, less than 40,000 miles on this car, and he says he gets home, still got the same vibration. Takes it back to him again. He says the vibration's still there. They say, well, it's the tires, So anyway, he comes to me to get an oil change, and he says, "Will you rotate the tires? Because they said it's the tires, and I want to see if my noise or vibration or whatever he's describing changes." So I take the car out before we do the oil change, and I drive it. And it's got a wheel bearing from the right front that is just screaming and vibrating, and I'm like, "Wow, how did they miss this?" And it was one of those things that never left the bay to find the customer's concern. And so if they would have gotten in the car and taken a drive with the customer, they would have heard this noise. This one, actually, I had my technician with me that's just, young technician.
He's a junior tech.
Fresh out of school, just graduate. He literally had his graduation at UTI yesterday. And he was with me, and he goes, "Wow, that right front wheel bearing's bad." I'm like, "Wow."
Dave, we do some of that. I would call it arbitration, but mediation for the Better Business Bureau when things don't go right between the consumer and the repair shop. And one of the things that I always look at, especially when they had this ongoing problem, is the in and the out mileage. And I see the car, we couldn't duplicate the problem. Maybe it was a stalling while driving or lack of power. They drove it around the block. They drove it a mile. Come on. Give it some effort.
Like that. I drive some of these cars literally 40, 50 miles.
Yeah.
Sometimes I find these problems. So anyhow, when we come back, we're taking your calls at 602-277-5827. You're listening to Matt and Dave, your KTAR car guys on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Honesty and integrity. It's the only option. Hi, Spencer Doucet for H&I Automotive. H is for honesty, and I is for integrity. We built our business on these two principles. We opened our first shop in Mesa in 2009, and with the support from our loyal customers, we've now grown to a second state-of-the-art location in Gilbert. 2 locations, same principles. Quality service at a great value, backed by an industry-leading 60-month, 60,000-mile parts and labor warranty. Check us out at HNIautomotive.com.
Looking for that last perfect getaway for summer? Look no further than Bunker to Bunker, the golf show's next tour stop at the spectacular J.W. Marriott Desert Ridge Resort and Spa on Saturday, August 25th, benefiting Phoenix Children's Hospital. An incredible value. The 2-person scramble on the famous Faldo course is loaded with special prizes. Lunch and a coupon for another round of golf, all for just $95. Make it a stay-and-play weekend with room specials starting as low as $99 per night. Space is limited, so register today at bunkergolf.com.
Hi, I'm Dave Riccio, owner of Tri-City Transmission. Well, you may have come to know us for being a transmission expert. What you may not know is that our customers regularly ask us why we don't perform repairs to the rest of the vehicle. You guys are so great. Why work on just the transmission? Well, the request became hard to ignore, and 3 years ago, we began to build an infrastructure to perform general automotive repair. We weren't going to do general repair if we couldn't be great at it. So in 2013, we began the soft opening of Tri-City Auto Repair on Smith Road. We brought on ASE Master Technicians to work side by side with our Master Transmission Technicians. The combination of the best in both of these trades has created a synergy that allows us not only to fix your transmission, but to service and repair your whole car, and to do it well. Let's face it, the modern car has become so integrated. We believe all of our expert knowledge puts us ahead of the curve. Find us at TricityTransmission.com or TempeAutoRepairShop.com. That's TempeAutoRepairShop.com.
Arizona's news station.
KTAR. On air, 92.3 FM. Online at KTAR.com. And streaming live on the KTAR News app. Your breaking news and traffic now.
KTAR News Time, 11:30. Good morning, I'm Mark Carlson. NTSB crews are searching for the black box after an airline employee stole and crashed a plane in Washington State, apparently part of a suicide mission.
Around Seattle, there was shock as people watched the plane flying low overhead. They saw it doing stunts, trailed by F-15 fighter jets, and then they saw it crash. John Waldron saw the ordeal end.
I saw a plume of smoke, a quick flash of flame, and then, of course, the sound of the explosion reached where we were all at, and my heart just sank.
The sheriff in Pierce County and the FBI saying today there is no indication the airline employee was planning on hurting anyone else. They believe it was a suicide mission. Alex Stone, ABC News.
The fallout over President Trump's tariff is now being felt in the home building business. Tariffs on lumber and other imported construction materials are making it more expensive to rebuild homes lost to wildfires and other natural disasters. The tariffs come at a time when several other factors also are driving up building costs. A California Building Association says Trump's tariffs alone could add $20,000 to the cost of a new home. That can make rebuilding unaffordable for some, particularly those with inadequate insurance policies. Traffic and weather now. Here's Mike Daniels in the Valley Chevy Dealers Traffic Center.
Well, thank you, Mark. Got a crash blocking the shoulder, Loop 101 westbound right there at 35th Avenue. Injury accident involving a motorcycle at Mountain View Road at 103rd Avenue, and a crash in the clearing stages, Southern Avenue just west of 51st. This report brought to you by Lund Mortgage. Increased property values mean you might be able to finally drop your mortgage insurance. Ask the Lund Mortgage team how you can start saving hundreds of dollars every month. Call 623-875-9940 today. I am Mike Daniels, KTAR News.
Thank you, Mike. KTAR weather for the Valley today. Isolated thunderstorms with a high of 103 degrees. There's a 30% chance of rain tonight, partly cloudy, and the rain chance is lower to 20%, a low of 83. Tomorrow, partly cloudy and a high of 104. It is 90 degrees currently in Mesa. Weather brought to you by Howard Air. Weather replace or repair, call Howard Air. I'm Mark Carlson on Arizona's news station, KTAR News.
When there's breaking news affecting the Valley.
A dangerous situation inside a West Valley Walmart.
When the freeway is jammed.
All brake lights out.
When a summer storm strikes.
Thunder, lightning, the complete package.
Keep it on KTAR News 92.3 FM on your radio and watch ABC 15 to stay informed, to get to work on time, and to be safe on the road. KTAR News welcomes our new local TV partner, ABC 15, to bring you Arizona's best news, traffic, and weather coverage.
Trust. It's hard to earn and sometimes even harder to find. If you live or work in downtown Phoenix, Matt Allen's Virginia Auto Service is celebrating over 20 years of award-winning service at the corner of 7th Street and Virginia. Recognized as one of the best service shops in the country, their customers have come to trust Virginia Auto Service for its A-plus rating by the BBB, 2-year 24,000-mile warranties, and free transportation to and from your home or office. 20-plus years of earning your trust. Virginia Auto Service. They're serious about service.
Looking for that last perfect getaway for summer? Look no further than Bunker to Bunker, the golf show's next tour stop at the spectacular J.W. Marriott Desert Ridge Resort and Spa on Saturday, August 25th, benefiting Phoenix Children's Hospital. An incredible value. The two-person scramble on the famous Faldo course is loaded with special prizes, lunch and a coupon for another round of golf, all for just $95. Make it a stay-and-play weekend with room specials starting as low as $99 per night. Space is limited, so register today at bunkergolf.com.
Ouch! Being out of tune is no fun, and maybe even a little painful. Hi, this is Lee Weatherby, owner of Accurate Automotive in Mesa. At Accurate, we are a family-owned and operated one-stop automotive repair shop that specializes in building long-term relationships that are in tune with your needs, not ours. We've been recognized nationally as one of the top shops in the country, but for over 20 years, our priority has stayed focused on providing quality automotive service and repair at a fair price. I invite you to come in and see the difference an in-tune relationship can make for you and your car. With our free courtesy inspection, a $49 value, we feel it is well worth our investment in you because we believe good long-term relationships start early with your first walk through our doors. Accurate Automotive, home of friends serving friends, just off Broadway and Robson in Mesa since 1992. For more information, check us out online at AccurateAutomotiveAZ.com today.
This is Bumper to Bumper Radio, KTAR News on 92.3 FM.
Well, welcome back to Bumper Radio. I am Dave Riccio here along with Matt Allen, and together we are your KTAR car guys. We are helping you with your car at 602-277-5827, 602-277-KTAR. We've got David, Jeff, John, and Tim. And we're also taking text at 411-923. And Bumper to Bumper is a radio show designed to help you be in the know when it comes to your car repair. Additionally, there is a list of shops that actually support this show that Matt and I gladly endorse, and you can find them at bumpertobumperradio.com. The other thing you can find at bumpertobumperradio.com is our podcast, and one of these texts is an air-conditioned question. And if you didn't hear last week's show, you can go back at bumpertobumperradio.com and listen to the show. But I do want to address it. It's 2010 Altima, 208,000 miles, runs smooth and fine. I'm concerned that the transmission may need servicing. I have never serviced it and bought it 160,000 miles. And I would have it checked out first, by a transmission shop to make sure it's a qualified candidate for service. We're going to look at the condition of the fluid, how it works. Is there any codes in related to the transmission, and then I can make you a good recommendation. But CVTs, and this may be one of the Altimas with a CVT, basically it's a couple of cones with a metal chain with some rubber in it that's designed to make it work. So it's real crucial on your CVT transmissions to service the transmission. And that's, again, one where a lot of shops say, oh, it's sealed. Well, they should say we don't service CVTs. But it is a transmission, and there is a filter that no one thinks to change that needs to get changed that really affects those things, and it's a cooler line filter. So, and the other part of his question there, Matt, was air conditioned. So, if you wanted to touch on that.
Yeah. Man, I'm like a rookie in here.
Yeah,
See, the problem is this light bulb over here is burned out, and they still haven't fixed it after quite a few months, and I didn't know the mic wasn't on. Anyway. Maybe management will hear that and get it taken care of. We're talking about the main seat in Red Studio. Anybody listening on the engineering team? So the other part of the question after the transmission service says, also the AC isn't as cold as it used to be. I've changed the cabin air filter and used a gauge to check the Freon, and it's filled according to the gauge. These systems on a modern car, way back in the day, you could hook up a set of gauges, and you're looking at the low side gauge. You want some pressure around 30 to 40, 45 psi, and then the high side maybe 180 up to 240. Somewhere in there, depending on the car, depending on the RPMs. They used to hold 3 pounds of refrigerant, 4 pounds. Now they have 20 ounces. Now they have 14 ounces in them. You cannot tell by the gauge. You just can't. There's not enough information there. It might get you close. Gauges work on your home air conditioning system. So if it's not as cold as it used to be, again, you can go back and listen to some of the previous shows. We've probably talked about air conditioning 3 times this year.
It's going to need what I call a suck and fill.
Yeah, it needs to be serviced. We've got to take everything out, weigh it, measure it, whatever you want to call that, and then refill it with the whole proper charge. That's the only way to know if it's full or not. We've got to take it out, and then we've got to put all back in, plus what you were missing, and then I bet it will blow cold. So start with a good service, which is not just adding a can. It's a full service.
For sure. Well, let's go with John in Anthem. Looks like he's got some sort of headlight question, or how can we help you, John? You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Yes, good morning, gentlemen. I'd like to get your opinion on something. I'm a senior citizen, and I still drive at night, but I have noticed recently the new pickups that have come out, especially out of the Ford stalls, have got tremendously bright lights on their pickups. And I haven't found any way to really deal with this other than to readjust my mirrors, whether you're coming at them head on or from behind you. The front end looks like a marquee from Las Vegas. And it makes it really difficult. So if they put any kind of a weight in the back of the pickup, which lifts that front end just even an inch or two, it's really blinding. I know there's not a lot you can do about it, but what's your opinion?
What I do is I just turn on my high beams, and if I was you, I would go get like a light bar in your car, and then just retaliate with 5 times more power, just blind those son of a guns with lights. But and even somebody towing a boat, it doesn't have to be a lot of weight. But I have a 2010 Toyota, and there's actually like the little dimmer switch, and you can adjust the pitch of the headlights. So you can push it down or roll it up. So I don't know if any other manufacturer's doing that. And that's exactly why they did that. You go put a couple 1,000 pounds or put a heavy boat on there, the headlights are going to go up in the air with that little switch and just roll it, and it points the headlights back down.
I'm all with you, John, because bright headlights in my rearview mirror are coming at me and annoy the heck out of me. and so it's usually the lifted trucks, and I used to be a real gearhead and have lifted Jeeps,
Sure.
And I think I ticked everybody out back then. But for those people out there driving with these lifted cars, make sure you guys turn the headlights down, because it is dangerous. At night you got all this stuff going on, and a lot of people hate driving at night, but it kind of messes with your eyes because bright lights come by, your eyes are really not, they're dilated because of the lighting out there.
Exactly. And it seems to me that they don't seem to be, I used to tinker with the cars myself and knew how to align headlights, and they don't seem to really be aligned. I'm just wondering if the American eyesight is getting so bad that they need these huge 1,000-candle power headlights to be able to see at night.
Well, that's part of it. They've heard the term, driving beyond your headlights. If you don't have bright lights, you just can't go as fast. Speeds are faster. It's safer. The lighting technology. You can get a whole lot of lighting with very little power nowadays. It's not a big draw in the electrical system, and it is much safer. So, I thought you were going to ask about I need my lights to be brighter. So for those of you that have that occasion, like Sylvania makes a Silver Star headlight. So when you get one burnout, buy the pack of the little bit brighter headlights, or you can get the LED headlights.
You're just feeling his problem.
But that's just coming from an older conventional bulb. So,
well, thanks for the call, John. I appreciate that. Let's go with Tim in Scottsdale. He's got a 2001 Ford Taurus. How can we help you, Tim? You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Well, hi. Okay, dependable car, 130,000. The history on it indicates that it was well maintained. What about this theory, if it works, don't fix it, and this fear story that if you do change the transmission fluid, you now bring on trouble with your transmission?
Yeah, that is probably one of the bigger wives' tales. At some point, your transmission fluid wears out, all right? It loses its lubricity. And if you run a transmission with worn-out fluid, it's going to go out, So, ideally, you do want to service it. But here's the thing. If you take a transmission that has a problem, a lingering problem hiding out there, and you service it, you can cause it to go out. If it doesn't have a problem, by all means, absolutely service it. And part of the problem with some of the services out there is the technician doesn't really know how to, because he's not a transmission guy, he doesn't know how to know if the transmission has an issue. So I always recommend to make sure you're working with a good transmission professional for a service. And if you got a transmission that doesn't have a problem, absolutely service it. You're not going to cause it to go out. I think the old rumor was there's stuff, you're going to get all the sludge out of the transmission, and we rebuild transmissions all the time. There's no sludge in there.
Yeah. But Tim, how long have you had this car? You said the history suggests. Is it a new purchase?
Well, we bought it for our son with $106,000. It was owned by the city of San Diego, and they serviced the heck out of that car.
Sure.
So we took a gamble on it. It's been a great car. It's put $25,000 on it, and it's still running nice. But I'm a service maintenance guy.
Yeah.
So.
Good. Yeah. There is some, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But you still need to keep on top of it. You don't want to be fixing it after it's broken, because that's always more expensive. So there's certain things that need maintenance, and there's certain things that you monitor. I think part of that is what Dave and I call not being an orphan customer. Be consistent. Find yourself a shop. Always go there. Let them take the records, and then you just know what's going on. They can help so you're not over-servicing the car. We see that. You get too much done or under-servicing the car.
Well, check this out. I mean, we all know you got to change your engine oil. That's the maintenance for the engine. But let me tell you something. Transmissions fail 4-1 over engines. So which isn't getting enough service? So, I mean, really, the whole point here is to buy a car, drive a car for 200,000 miles and never have to see the transmission man for a big, expensive repair. That's what we're after. That's what we want to see you get to. I'd rather you come see me for a cup of coffee and a transmission service than me give bad news.
How many, Dave, of the transmissions and all the cars that you see that come in for a transmission complaint in your facility, how many end up, rough percentage, with an actual overhaul?
To come in with a complaint?
That come with a complaint, the customer thinks, I need a new transmission, or I have a transmission problem, or there's something happening, and it definitely is, quote, the transmission. How many of those actually require an overhaul of the transmission, like a complete rebuild?
1 in 4.
Okay, so 25%.
Yeah, 25%. People call me all the time, and they want to know how.
Now let me ask you this question. In the industry, in general, you take all the nationwide transmission shops, and we all know who they are, and all the big names and all over the place. How many percentage of the transmissions, because they probably all present with similar symptoms, the same. It's a repetitive thing. I have this, or I have this feeling. When you go to that kind of shop, what percentage of the transmissions in those types of facilities do you think get rebuilt?
9 out of 10.
So, and I agree. So 9 out of 10 transmissions in your chain transmission shops get a rebuild. And it's because you can fix what's inside the transmission. You don't have to rebuild the whole thing. And part of that is picking a transmission shop that knows how to diagnose the problem. Because you usually don't need a whole transmission. But I can guarantee you one thing for sure. If we replace the whole damn thing, your problem's going to get solved.
It's like replacing an engine for a bad spark plug. Yeah. The new engine's got new spark plugs in it, and we fixed it, but all you needed was a spark plug, you know?
That's an exaggeration, but we're making the point. So choose your shop, accordingly, and remember what people are in the business for, and, kind of just do your due diligence. It's worth a drive for that type of repair.
I got a good story for that. When we come back, we got a couple more phone calls. You listen to Matt and Dave, your KTAR car guys, on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Hi, I'm Kurt Morgan, owner of Shadow Mountain Auto Service in Phoenix. I'm also a college automotive instructor, and I've been a technician for over 30 years. In that time, I've seen all kinds of games and gimmicks in the auto repair business, the worst of which seems to be associated with transmissions. I think it's because, to most, including technicians, the inside of a transmission is a mystery. So when one of our valued customers has a transmission problem, we send them straight to Tri-City Transmission. No games, no gimmicks. That's Tri-City Transmission.
There is nothing more important than family. Hi, Kurt Rock here for Kurt's Auto Repair. I brought my nephew and general manager, Jeff Rock, to help spread the word.
Thanks, Pops. Yep, the more things change, the more they stay the same at Kurt's. Family owned and operated, our ASE Master Techs and family ethics have earned us a Perfect Better Business Bureau record for over 30 years. Just east of I-17 at 22nd Avenue in Bell, or online at mycarhurts.com.
Gas or diesel, foreign or domestic, if your car hurts, take it to Kurt's.
Hi, Kevin Rowe from I-17 Collision in Phoenix. If the bad news is you've had an accident, the good news is that with one easy click on bumpertobumperradio.com, you have the best collision, body, and paint shops to help you get back on the road quickly, safely, and with a repair you can trust.
Dave Lindgren here from First Class Auto Body in Scottsdale. Don't be fooled. Some insurance companies try to convince you that you must use their approved shops for your repairs. Not true. Arizona law allows you to choose the facility that's right for you.
And I'm Leo Petrozella from Campus Body Salon in Tempe. Having an accident is stressful enough. Dealing with the repair process shouldn't be. Appearance is important, but it's critical that structural integrity and safety are top priority.
3 convenient locations and one united team. With almost 120 years of experience and expertise between us, we are solely focused on taking care of you while working with your insurance company. The Collision Team at bumpertobumperradio.com.
Welcome back to Bumper Radio. I'm Dave Riccio here along with Matt Allen, and we are helping you with your car. And we've got David, Jeff, and John. Matt, and what we're talking about, I got a story.
It's story time.
It's story time. I literally had a car come to me from one of the transmission chains, and it had no reverse. You put the car in reverse, nothing would happen. And when you drove it forward, there was three of the 5 gears were missing. So the car it felt pretty jacked up. The guy had left the chain place. It recommended him a whole transmission. He didn't quite believe them.
So this was a Honda Odyssey.
Right?
What's it cost to rebuild the transmission that right way? Assuming it needs a rebuild, $5,000?
$3,000 to $5,000.
$3,000 to $5,000. Okay.
Yeah. So he leaves there. He comes over to our place. And my guy's looking at it. He goes, Dave, it's weird. One of the battery cables is done upside down and held on with a hose clamp. And he goes, the air boot's off the engine. And somebody's been all over this car trying to figure this thing out. So I call the customer up. I get the rest of the story. Oh, it came from the XYZ transmission shop. And I put an alternator on the car, and I hooked the battery cables up backwards. And there was a whole bunch more to the story. So
let me get this straight. So the guy starts off with his own alternator problem, and Harry Homeowner, that's what we call him sometimes, and that's fine. I'm not insulting anybody. So hey, sometimes it's pretty easy to put an alternator in a car. So he puts the own alternator on, but he accidentally hooks up the battery cables backwards.
Correct.
And realizes it says, oh crap, I did something bad. Figured out the main fuse blew, puts it back together, makes it start and drive. Goes to another transmission shop that is a transmission professional, and they're nationwide. They can fix anything. Big name. They can fix anything. And they tell him, you need an overhaul of your transmission. But he doesn't quite believe it, so he comes to you for a second opinion. But they wanted $3,000 to $5,000 to fix his car.
Correct.
Okay. Go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
That's all right. So I call the guy up when I figure there's more to the story. I get the story, and I say, look, this is going to be some sort of weird, deep-seated electrical problem. I need your blessing to spend some money to figure it out. So guess what? We figured it out. It was missing a fuse in the fuse box. He has no idea why. We have no idea why. All we know is that ECM has 4 power supplies going to it, 4 fuses, and one of them was missing. Well, you don't check fuse boxes for missing fuses. You check fuse boxes for blown fuses. So they're all there, but there's sometimes empty slots in fuse boxes because that car didn't have accessories.
Yeah, depending on how the car was optioned, it's very common for cars not to have fuses in the slots if they didn't have a certain option. But you don't know that.
So he got a 50-cent fuse instead of a $5,000 transmission.
But
it was hard.
But he's mad at you
now.
He's
mad at me now. Yeah.
He's mad at you that you charged him $400 to replace a fuse.
But the rest of the story is we had to fix the battery cables. We had to double check everything, fix the way the alternator wasn't even installed right.
And this goes back to my point of before we took the break of the percentage of transmissions that need overhauls, that get them versus actually need them. So he was told at big name transmission shop, we're going to have to take it out so we can tell you what's wrong with it, like they've never done one before, and because they haven't really diagnosed it. And so if he's pissed now that he got a $400 fuse, just think what he would have got. He would have got a $3,000 to $5,000 transmission, and they would have given him the fuse for free.
And never said anything about it.
And never said a damn thing about it. So be mad all you want, but be careful when you're picking your shop. And that's why you should visit bumpertobumperradio.com. And speaking of which, Dave, real quick, there's a text. Gentleman 253 is where his text area code came from. I'm not quite sure that is, but he says, what's the name of your shop? I need a local mechanic. Well, go to bumpertobumperradio.com, and there's the shops that we recommend. My shop, Virginia Auto Service, is on there. Dave's shop, Tri-City Transmission, and our repair is on there. Pick one near your house. Pick one near your work. Try them out for your next oil change. Hey, guys, I'm new in town. Heard you on the radio. I'm due for a service, and let's have our first date. Let's build a relationship.
Matt, we got to bank some phone calls out here. Let's go with David in Arizona City. He's got a 2006 Hummer H2. How can we help you, David? We're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Yes, good morning. I purchased this car from my brother. The car been parked in my garage for 8 years and got 60,000 miles on it. And I purchased it from him for $25,000. What would you recommend for maintenance service before I take the car out to the street, and what dealer should I take it to?
But you're located in Arizona City?
Right.
Okay.
It's about 20 miles from Casa Grande.
Okay, and how long had the car sat before it was driven?
About 7-8 years.
Oh,
Got
wow.
60,000 miles.
Okay, so that and does it start and run right now, or is it not?
Yeah, I started a couple of days ago. It sounds good. Really quiet.
All right, we'll give you some advice on that one. Dave, you want to start?
You know, I'm worried about the fuel in the tank. You know, it's going to be pretty darn rotten at this point. I mean, after a year, not too bad, but after 6 years, we're talking about some rotten fuel in the tank. So if there's a quarter tank on the gas gauge and it starts and runs, you know, if you go, you know, fill the rest of the tank with good fuel, it'll dilute it back out, and we'll get it through the system.
David, how much fuel is in that tank, David?
About half a tank.
Yeah, so I think you're probably, if it runs actually, but this is a case where I'd go put premium fuel in it. So that would be one of the first things to do. And then if it drives, I would drive it around for a little bit. You know, just keep it around the neighborhood, see how it runs. Don't go on a long trip. And then it might be worth, you know, I don't know anybody in Casa Grande. The closest
ADS would be a good fit.
Yeah, the closest shop would be ADS, Automotive Diagnostics Specialties, off of I-10 and Chandler Boulevard. And maintenance-wise, probably a fuel filter. If it's got one you can change. You know, you're going to want to look at the coolant. That coolant will go bad just sitting there.
Turns acidic.
So maybe flush the cooling system in a radiator cap, change the oil, and then get some miles on it. Maybe shorten that first oil change interval to 1,500 miles. And then take it back in and let them give it a full look over. Probably going to need some tires. They've probably aged out, you know, 5-6 years old. And it sat for 7. Maybe some brake fluid, and that's about it.
Well, good luck with that, David. We're going to try and sneak in one of these calls. We're going to go with Jeff in Casa Grande. He's got a 14 Cruise. Jeff, we're going to have to go quick. How can we help you?
I'll do it quick. In 2014, we bought it brand new. It's only got 38,000 miles. It's always garage kept. In 2015, battery died. They replaced it. In 2016, battery died. They replaced it. In 2017, battery died. But GM took it in for an analysis for 2 days, said everything's okay. Now, in 2018, last week, I put another battery in. Now, this one I paid for, though.
Were all the first ones under warranty?
Yeah.
So you were getting Delco batteries. Okay.
Right.
Something weird's happening.
Those Cruises definitely have a problem with that negative battery cable. You ever run into that, Matt? There's a whole lot of information on the Chevy Cruises about defective negative battery cables. So there may be something going on there. But then again, this is Arizona. It's not all that weird, you know.
Right, but this does seem a little frequent. Maybe the car sits a little bit, and that's got something to do with it. So I think it maybe needs another analysis, or take your time with this one and see. And by the way, John from Mesa, I'm going to take your call off the air.
For sure. Thanks for joining us. To find a good, competent, friendly shop, bumpertobumperradio.com. We'll see you next week.